coming hot on off the heels of the 8 hours of Fuji endurance race, we have arrived at the final round of the Simufur iRacing GT3 season. Welcome everybody, my name is Denak, joined by Newbie Nick in this commentary booth and Paliku'i behind the commentaries in the cameras. You commented an exciting season. It's been an exciting season from round 1 to round 6. Here we are at Fuji, and it's going to be an exciting finale with looking at the points so far, because it's going to be an actual title showdown.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how things end up, because Plasma is not around this time around. So the championship is now wide open. We have Walkman, we have Klaus, we have all the usual front runners that we have here. Going to be fighting for the position just to get points, maybe topple Plasma off the top of the grid.
Exactly, indeed, and we're going to be looking at them very closely, because if we have done our mathematics right, it's going to be a very good chance for Walkman, who is the only other driver currently in our standings that is in reach of getting the title for our debut iRacing GT3 season. Because if we, looking at the points so far, we can see there's only about 15 points separating between Plasma and Walkman. Crash Simon's unfortunately too far away from Plasma with the Princess Championship here, but if Walkman can at least a fourth position or higher, they're going to be able to get more points than Plasma and be able to clinch the title with the final round to go here. So it's going to be very interesting to see if Walkman can get that, because there's going to be a lot of other drivers here competing for that position on the podium.
Yeah, it's currently seeing in the timing sheets, Athena Claire, P1 with a very fast 1:39.78 as their best lap time. So there's only 2 drivers here that have reached the 1 minute 40. The less than 1 minute 40 mark. It's only Walkman as well as Athena Leclerc. Klaus is barely above it at 1:40.1. So it's going to be interesting to see how Walkman keeps it alive. But if they are able to negotiate between the drivers in front, I think it's going to be a very interesting race coming forward for us.
Absolutely, indeed. And this is actually coming from the right at the end of the Fuji 8-hour endurance race as well, where we also had a lot of our Simufur drivers coming out here. We can also see here Fess Fox, who had a pretty commendable result in the endurance race. Let me actually double check our scoring. Yes, indeed. With I think it was with the Simufur team driving. I think it was the Mustang. Or was it the Pinto? I don't remember which one. But anyway, I think they had a pretty good result in the Fuji endurance race, and I think Newbie also had a pretty good race in the Fuji 8-hour endurance race. So what do you think about the Fuji track overall?
It's a very technical track. You can see here as Fez continues to drive on the session where on the track here coming down into Sector 3, where it's Fuji being a very undulating track. Sector 3 is one of the hardest parts of this track as well, given that you'll see here heavy braking into the entrance of Sector 3 with this very narrow chicane section. That's where usually most of the incidents end up in Fuji 8 hours. That's where all the chaos happen, and I think unfortunately one of the Porsche cars from the Simufur team ended up getting hit here, causing them to fall behind. So this is definitely a very hot spot, as we can hear as well, tires on this specific corner as well, where drivers might spin out. So it's going to be interesting to see how the veterans versus the new drivers here are going to compete and how they will affect their standings in this race.
Yeah, it's going to be a very exciting turn 1, lap 1 for sure, with the very technical last sector of the corner here, with a lot of the very many slow speed corners here where there's not going to be a lot of space to overtake. So at least in the endurance series, the drivers know to be a bit more conservative, be safer, drive a bit slower just to avoid having an incident for a longer endurance race. But because we only have an hour in this sprint race series, that means there's going to be maybe drivers taking a bit more risk at the beginning, especially it's going to be with Walkman. If Walkman's going to be starting maybe further down from the grid than possible, they might just do a couple more aggressive moves at the beginning to hopefully get ahead.
Yeah, there's going to be a couple, actually more than a couple, interesting overtaking spots. If you're looking at the track map, turn 1, that's where we see here Athena Claire heavy braking here. That's where usually you see the Porsches excel, where they have the stronger brakes coming down to turn 1, who have a good run if you have a good exit. Coming to turn 3, that will basically seal the fate of your position right here. If you miss turn 1, turn 6 will be the next opportunity. The very long hairpin after this very long right-hander. That's a very interesting point for overtaking as well. You'll see some cars dive really hard on the brakes just to get it across, because after that it'll be a very long drive down to turn 10 at the downward corner here. Very nice chicane, and with that, the last point will be actually Dunlop corner will be the last point to overtake. If not, you have to go all the way back to turn 1 before your next overtaking position.
Yeah, it's going to be also an advantage for the very high power cars with a very long main straight here from the end of turn 16 to into the start of turn 1 here, Daichi. We can also see Athena already getting really close to the rear bumper. I think that's going to be the Lamborghini of Zeem ahead of them. And it's going to be the issue with them. Actually, they seem to have just disconnected. No, there seems to be some connections. But anyway, yeah, as you can see how tight and technical this last sector here is through turns 10 all the way to turn 16. There's really not many opportunities for the driver to get around here. You can see Athena just basically biding their time, waiting for the end of turn 16 here. Hopefully get a better launch on this long sweeping right-hand corner. Once you just get that better launch on the straight, it just seems like he's been able to pull that off and get that overtake stun here. So this is probably going to be one of the big opportunities for our more power-oriented cars. Get some overtake stun.
Yeah, and it's also where you'll see different cars set up for different opportunities. Usually, if you're used to the regular setups, you'll see that they are often favored for higher downforce. But unfortunately, if you have high downforce here, you'll have a problem of not being able to overtake people. As you see here, Athena and Leclerc side by side with Zeem, even though they had a better run on turn 16. What this means is that some cars you'll see excel very hard around sector 2, sector 3, where downforce is very important. But once they, as you see here, Athena and Leclerc spinning out on that corner is going to be very dangerous for the drivers here as well. But I was going to say that you'll have issues where some cars may not be able to overtake just because they have too much downforce, and that's going to be a problem for them.
It's also going to be a problem with a lot of the elevation changes, especially towards the downhill sections in turn 1 towards turn 4, where if you don't respect the car, if you respect the aero and the grip of your car, you might lose the back end as well. That's going to cause the spin, as we saw happening with Athena Leclerc's Porsche there. Just push a bit too much on the high, like the lowest grip section of that corner and lost the rear of their car here. Now we're going to be watching onboard with the one of our other TCAM racing cars of Robbie Kidd, currently sitting 5th in the overall standings with their lap times. They are not quite able to get to that sub 140 lap time, but they're not that far off, and there's actually quite a tight spread at our times so far, all the way from P8 up into P5. All of these cars are within a tenth of each other here. So again, as we've seen from all of our previous sessions, previous races, the mid pack is very, very tight.
Yeah, it's gonna be easy for us to see qualifying that they'll be very back of the grid, but with how close the timing is, we have to remind myself that it's going to be a very, very eventful race here. And it's going to be similar to the Fuji 8 Hours as well, where the grid is just so tight. Because of how technical it is, you kind of don't get much of a headroom between the drivers fastest and the slowest. So it's gonna be a very tight lap, and I think one mistake is gonna catch people off guard and just send them back to the grid, and they might have a very hard time recovering from that.
Absolutely, indeed. Now, with only about 5 minutes left of the practice session to go here, we're going to be watching very closely on what the qualifying is going to be like, because this is going to be indeed the very last one, and it's going to be, as Newbie just said earlier, that this is going to be a very technical and twisty track, especially with the last sector of towards turn 10 of Dunlop corner down to turn 16 Panasonic corner here. You're almost never on full throttle in any of those corners. You just need to balance the throttle, balance the brakes, keep your car in that optimum mode to get through all of those tricky twisty sections here. We're now watching on board with Keely Timberbox, a brand new PGR driver now heading down. I think that's going to be
turn 10.
100, yeah, turn 10. That Dunlop corner, very tight, one of the tightest braking zones of the entire track here, now swinging themselves around to turn 11 to turn 12, and again swinging a little bit again before it's going to be this very twisty, undulating, very long flowing course of turn 13 to 14, 15, all the way up to 16, where it's just also a very blind corner as well. So it could also be at risk where if somebody tries to make a bit of a ascent on the inside of this corner here, they might just come together, because it's going to be really hard to see where the actual limits of the track are.
Yeah, and also the fact that with how undulating the corner is, you have seen from the Fuji hours that it is a very hot spot for when your cars dip into the curb. I've been one of the drivers that have my cars dip on the curb, and it's gonna be a spot where people you're reminded to not overdrive the car. The curb on the outside, the sausage curb, that will be pretty deadly for the cars. You'll get launched there, or the small undulations on the curb itself, that will actually spin out the car as well. So it's gonna remind drivers to not overdrive their cars here, not be too heavy on throttle, as well as just, it's a good place to feel safe. We have seen the Simufur car with amazing strategies, fuel saving amazingly at Sector 3. That has caused them to run 41 laps, 42 lap stints, whereas usually you'll see drivers run 37 laps, 38 laps of stints. So it's going to be interesting to see which driver is fuel saving through that sector and which driver is just pushing them all. That will affect their pit time, and pit stop time is important here because we only have 65% of the total fuel tank that the cars are supposed to have, and that will affect your pits, and that will affect your pit strategy, that will affect your runnings in the race.
It's certainly going to be a factor, but not as much a factor as it is in the Endurance Series, because it is indeed, even though the car is going to only have 65% of their maximum fuel tank available for this series, that's going to be forcing them all to take a pit stop at the end of this, during this race here. It's still going to be mostly down to probably a couple of seconds, 5, 6, 7 seconds here, that you would get an advantage by fuel saving, but that's also something that you're going to have to balance, because if you fuel save too much, in this very short sprint race, you just might lose the opportunity to actually fight for your positions by just compromising your lines too much and going too slowly.
Yeah, but you gotta remember, for the differences in iRacing itself is that you can actually gain lap time from coasting, which is a bit weird, but that is how drivers should drive it. We have seen drivers actually gaining time from the lift and coast that they get from the toe, from having a higher top speed at the end, being able to just coast their way through Sector 3, because usually when you're pushing it really hard, you push Sector 3 really hard, basically close to full throttle, but with how Simufur's team has explained that a very light coast, basically minimal braking the entire sector, will actually net you a very big difference. And if you're still able to maintain pace, with that you can just save 4 to 5 seconds in the pit lane, and that will actually get you a position or two, and that's going to be interesting to see which driver is pushing it there all, which driver is learning from the Fuji 8 hours, and that might actually be beneficial for them to just even have track time.
Speaking of the drivers, we also have a couple of new faces, or a couple of returning faces for this competition as well. We have seen the Mercedes of Rekover finally coming up on the grid again after missing out on a couple of the rounds here earlier, and now they're going to be finally joining us for the finale round here. We also have the BMW N4 of Pan Hyraday, who's finally been able to join us on our Simufur racing season here, and that's also going to be very exciting to see, because the more people join for our GT3 series, the more exciting action we have, the more overtakings happen. It's just going to be overall a more entertaining time here. So welcome in these new drivers who have joined us on our finale round here. But now with only about 20 seconds left on our practice session, it's now going to be time for qualifying. Looking at our timesheet so far here, it looks to be Walkman holding a very solid, actually a pretty considerable lead of a 139.48 on their fastest lap time so far. I think Leclerc had a pretty good run in running earlier, but they've only been able to get a 39.78, so a couple of tenths off here. So with qualifying about to start here, it's looking pretty good for Walkman.
Yeah, it's gonna be. Walkman. Yeah, I was gonna say, with Walkman being in front, high chances they're gonna start in P1. But we have qualifying, and also remember that we have an hour race, so it's gonna be interesting to see where Walkman qualifies as qualifying is starting to start. We're all back in the grid, getting your fuel sets ready. But anything could happen. At the end of the day, it is a semi-endurance type sprint race. It is 1 hour after all. It's gonna be a stint, but you don't win races at turn 1, so it's going to be interesting to see how the grid goes as the drivers start to come out the pit lane.
Yeah, I think it's all this track is going to be the race are going to be one at turn 16, where everybody's going to be making that send. Yeah, but now with the qualifying ready to go here, I think it's going to be the car of Fez Fox who just got ahead on the track. We're going to be watching on board with RK, now getting ready on their warm-up lap on this pretty long Fuji track here. And yeah, it's just going to be down to just trying to get those tires prepped for us as well as possible for this first out lap here. And I think if some of these drivers are going to be utilizing their strategies right, they might also try to find another slower car, maybe to get a tow on the main straight here. And that could be something these team competition might be considering to do for this other, just give them a tow on this long straight too, because that could be a very considerable advantage.
Yeah, the tow here will definitely give you time on turn 1, especially on turn 1. But you remember as well, you might need to brake a little bit earlier, and if you don't time it right, you might actually end up being getting a car in the way. So RK might have to time it right, maybe just be barely out of the way at like 7 tenths, 8 tenths. Fez might see what's going to happen here and maybe brake a little, be behind, slow down a little bit just so that they don't get much of a tow behind. But it's all mind games here at the end of the day. Just so long as they keep it clean, keep it respectful, they might have everything. They might have things out. But RK doesn't seem to want the tow from Fez, and they just want clean air because they are starting to back off. And it's going to be on board with RK coming down the back straight here, pushing it very hard on the car right now. It's all up to how much downforce you set for the car. Usually you might want a high downforce setup because you have some security, but if you have a good setup, maybe you want to lose downforce setup just so you can get strong braking at 125 here. I see coming to turn 1. Alright, exit. Barely making sure that they don't get a 1x here. Also in the time, pretty strong into turn 2, turn 3 though. Gotta be brave. brake right before a 50-meter mark, turn in for the bollard. Make sure you don't mount the curve too much or you'll lose it, but stays within track limits. Here, very long right-hander, turn 4, turn 5, 100R. You need to make sure that you aim it just right, also rush really wide here, as RK almost does, braking right before your hairpin for turn 6. Hug the curve on the inside. If you do, that gives you a boost of rotation. Coming down to turn 7, turn 8, turn 9. Make sure you don't wash wide here, or else you actually lose maybe a tenth or two. Coming down to turn 10, braking right before the Harmonium boards hard on the brakes. Make sure you aim it just in front, right. If not, you'll miss this curve, and it's going to be time for you coming to turn 11, turn 12. Make sure you're patient on the throttle coming down in here. Turn 13, find your own braking markers. Turn in, that's going to be blind. Make sure you don't put throttle too wide, also running into the sausage curve you see here on the left side. Braking right after the curve here for turn 14, turn 15. Very off camber here. This is where drivers get caught off a lot as RK struggles a little bit. Down to turn 16 here. Last corner, make sure you get a good exit or else you'll lose all the time you have gained, and there's going to be a lap at Fuji.
A very commendable lap from RK at the end here. A little bit loose on those final couple corners here, but seems to be pretty good so far. Now we're going to be watching the cars going across the finish line. It's going to be Fez and RK coming up across first. It's going to be an opening of 140.9, answered immediately by Robbie Kelly getting a 140.1. So very strong start at the beginning already. It's already an improvement from what they were able to do in the practice session, with Katie again answering with another 40.150. But the one driver we're going to be watching closely is going to be the car of Walkman in that very light blue colored Corvette. See Corvette car here. Now they're going to be coming up into the Dunlop corner here. Tight on the brakes again, cutting that corner very deep to maximize their exit speed as much as possible here. Again, just balancing those throttles going up towards turns 12, 13, 14, and 15. Just keeping that car light as possible and keeping the oversteer to an absolute possible minimum here. Could be watching very close to see what they're going to be doing so far. The timing is looking very good here at the beginning, so we're just going to watch very closely. Are they just going to be swinging around on that final right-hander of turn 6 and unleash the power of that Corvette on the main right here with a good exit as well, not washing out too wide. So we'll be watching again. Athena also managed to get a 40-minute flat, 140 flat on this car, but we're now going to be watching very closely as Walkman crosses the finish line. It's going to be, wait for it, excitement coming up. It's gonna be it's gonna be an immediate improvement, an immediate dominating answer to show everyone else who is boss at 39.43. So Walkman's looking pretty comfortable in the lead already with that first lap.
Yeah, 6/10 gap. I think it's either Athena Leclerc is going to have to push hard to make sure they cover that 6/10, or I think we're going to see a very, very easy walk in the park. A change of pace instead of Plasma walking away. It's going to seem like it might be Walkman's going to be walking away.
Yeah, this might just give the championship already to Walkman at the end of this race as well, because if Walkman does get the pole position, that's going to be one extra point they get from that pole position result, which also means that if they then get that 5th result, and that would be just enough for them to get the championship title. But with them already at very considerable lead here, I think anything short of just having an incident and losing massive amounts of time is going to be very securely keeping them in the lead of the race and just giving them that Simufur title trophy.
Yeah, but I gotta remember as well, lap 1 incidents, especially here at Sector 3, this is where the train kind of bunches up, and if they're not careful, and if they have a horrible start and kind of lose confidence at turn 1, we might see some incidents, as we see here, Walkman sliding away, and that's one thing that drivers might have problems with when you push too hard, as they back into the wall, is pushing too hard here, especially turn 15. That is one of the corners where you'll see drivers lose a little bit when you kind of forget how to brake properly, maybe through fatiguing, maybe through just muscle memory. That's where you'll see some drivers maybe trying that out a bit too much, and that's how you end up having issues like what Walkman did. As we see Athena Leclerc coming down into turn 13, turn 14, pretty solid drive. We see maybe a green Sector 3, but for now they seem to be right where they are right now.
It's probably going to be very incremental improvements from these cars so far here. There's not going to be that much track evolution that's going to be improving the grip on this track here, and the weather looking to be pretty stable as well. There's not going to be any results on that as well. We saw Athena washing a little bit wide on the exit of that 16 corner here. It's going to be compromising their exit a little bit. Let's see if they're going to be able to improve their time at all. In a couple of seconds here, we see several other cars just trailing on a big train right behind them and coming up across the line just now. It's going to be not an improvement. I think that was actually an invalidated lap time. I think they may have went off track at some point, which caused them to lose time. We also see a bit of traffic coming up already here, and Also, I think that was going to be another car here coming up off the track here, but yeah, I think that some of these cars here on this big train we see behind, I think that's going to be the cars, one of the Simufur cars, and there's also Katie Tinfox right behind them. I think they're going to be trying to get that toe on the main straight, because that could give you several tenths indeed, but it's just going to be down to finding that right spot to get the toe, but also not get stuck behind them in these very technical sections down in Sector 2 and Sector 3.
Yeah, I was talking about traffic. I saw drivers actually kind of want to be in traffic, especially the cars a bit further down the grid. Every millisecond helps, and having a toe, which gives you basically 2 to 3Ks up on the straights, is pretty important for some of these drivers, especially coming down to the few straights. Main one be turn 1, maybe having a good higher top end for turn 10 as well. That has definitely helped them help in the race itself. So it's gonna be interesting to see how these drivers navigate the traffic. They might compare themselves to their timing sheets, see who is beneficial in front of them, who is not, maybe try to negotiate a gap between them. But for now, as you can see here, right behind Leclerc, a bunch of drivers just in the same train, trying to make sure they gain as much time through the toe as possible.
Yeah, we're also looking at our time so far. There seems to be a couple of like 2 different islands going up with from like P8 on bottom to P2, and another island coming up down from P13 to P16. All of them are pretty close to each other in their lap time so far. We're also seeing some of these drivers. I think it's going to be Theo Leclerc on a nice good green sector as well, with Pan Hardy also getting a small improvement coming across the line. You go jumping up with Grid where to getting P15 on the grid here. There's going to be a couple of 2 different islands on the top and bottom of the grid here, which is probably going to be indicated once the race starts. They're going to be spreading out to be kind of their own different islands, and usually what happens in these kinds of races. But it's going to be with about 12 minutes left of the qualifying to go here. I think that's going to happen. I'm still waiting to see if that very tight spread between Katie and Robbie is going to be coming up at all, because they're down to actually only hundredths of a second to see who's going to be getting that 3rd spot on the grid.
It's going to be interesting how these two fight to the very end. But as you were saying as well, having different islands, I was going to say that's one thing that we didn't talk about here, is that it's quite important to make sure they stay in the train. We have seen through again the Fuji 8 hours results is that once you're in the train, you kind of want to make sure that you don't get out of it, because the moment you got out of it, you're gonna lose toe down in the back straight, and that's gonna lose you significant time, and that itself is gonna push you back further back onto the grid, and that might open up attack vectors from the cars behind, and you definitely don't want that, and that's definitely basically a race ender for you, because you just keep falling down behind further back until you find back a train that you can actually keep your pace up, because that's very important for drivers here at Fuji.
That could be the one opportunity for the other cars behind Walkman as well to get past Walkman, because Walkman's going to be, of course, the one leading the field here. But once they get on that main straight, they could be, with the help of that huge toe on the main straight, where cars of like Klaus, of Katie, of Athena Leclerc, where they would be able to catch up to that Corvette car ahead of them. You actually also saw an improvement coming up from Klaus Simon, finally able to get a lap time on the board here, a 39.89, and Athena Leclerc also answering with another 39.83. So they are slowly inching in on that lap time from Walkman, but still nowhere near to actually challenge them. But I think what these 2 cars, these 2 competitors are keeping in mind is if they can just stay close enough to the rear bumper of Walkman for lap 1, and they're just going to hope to just hang close enough to get the toe on the main straight and get an overtake on lap 2.
Yeah, you can do an overtake definitely on lap 2. You can definitely do overtake earlier than that. So I think it's up to how drivers think about it. Maybe have a send or 2 for some of them, but I think some of the more veteran drivers know that you don't want to do that. You know, keep it inside, keep it safe. Why? Because outside of just fighting for positions at the start of the race, you want to make sure that you also break away from the gap behind. That basically helps you and the island in front of you to just get away. In a sense, it's also it's kind of a selfish strategy where you want to get in front, but you also don't want the guys behind to be in front of you, because once you slow down the pack, everyone else behind you will be ready to fight for that same position that you're fighting for. So it might be beneficial for drivers to just, you know, keep it single file, break away from the slower drivers behind, just so they have a margin or 2 before they start fighting. But do it wrong, you might have an issue where the car in front just runs away, and that's not something ideal you want.
We'll have to see about that, because even though the championship title fight is pretty much a foregone conclusion for Walkman and Plasma here, there's still going to be the P2, P3, P4 positions all up for grabs here. I mean, looking at our standings again here, like everyone from P3 down to P5 are only separated by a couple of points here, so all of them are going to be very eager to get past each other. It's only going to be a couple of points difference from getting up into, I mean, it's going to be like several points of difference from being 3rd to being 2nd place here. So it could be a chance that these cars are going to be fighting very hard for those scraps of point that are left after Walkman is probably going to be walking away with it. And it's certainly going to be going to be some exciting racing once that happens.
Oh, that's going to be definitely very exciting. But also, at the end of the day, you don't get points until you cross the finish line. That's a reminder that I think some of the veterans have ingrained right into their mind. But they want to make sure that they are on their own club because they don't want to have any new drivers mixing in. Or else it's going to be a toss-up in their standings and they will definitely not be happy about it. But that's part of racing. Make sure that you survive. If not, someone else is going to take your spot for it.
Yeah, we're going to have to watch where it goes, what's going to be happening here. With only about 8 minutes of the qualifying left to go here, our drivers seem to have almost about reached the maximum of what they can acquire here. We also see now, watching the onboard of Klaus Starman here now coming across the finish line. You see, they had a pretty decent running on their current lap here, 1 green sector, so this might be an improvement coming across the finish line here. After a couple more seconds, just waiting for that finish line to come right about there. It was a time, but I think they may have gone off the track limits in turn one, which cost them to invalidate their lap time. So we're going to be switching over to the onboard of Katie Timberfox here, coming up on the inside of, I think that's the car of Pat Higherday, who just went off the limits here, so no concern for Katie, but we're going to be seeing Katie also, actually this is kind of purple sector 1 as well, so they're getting on a pretty big flying lap here at the moment, hope to get some more precision here, because they only separated by a couple of milliseconds off the cars of Klaus and Robbie Kelly, so they're hoping to at least, if not gain any more precision, to extend the gap they have to Robbie Kelly, who's very much right on their heels here, ready to get the position back up. And now we're watching, bouncing big on that sausage curb on the track here, which might just cost them that time and may have also been an invalidation on their track limits.
We'll see as maybe crossing line, but that's going to be hopeful. It's going to be as much as they hope. But Klaus, I was going to say, as you were saying, Klaus also set a purple sector 1, basically a few hundredths ahead of KD. That's going to be trying to answer for KD's fast time, but if they're able to get a green sector 2 and a green sector 3, that will be definitely enough for them. But KD here about to cross the line, will they get invalidated lap time or will they continue? That is a invalidated lap time. They have to go again to make sure that they get that they register for that purple lap time. Unfortunately for them, that purple has not been purple because Klaus coming down into the back straight. Oh, will they keep it? Oh, that curb is going to cost them some time, but they might be able to just get a little bit more forward. Will they be faster than Leclerc? 600ths between the gap between P2 and P3. That might change as they cross the line here. Maybe, maybe not. They do not with the 39.4. Actually, they do with the 39.7. That is P2 for currently.
Yeah, I think it was that slightly slow exit off turn 16 that caused them to not get any improvement on their last sector here. But that was enough improvement for them to get up into that P2 position. And with also Robbie Kelly also having another improvement to get ahead of Katie Timberfox to get the 4th position here with a 39.973, joining the 39 gang here. Now, with Katie already getting that purple sector last time around, I think if they can just keep their car on the road and get that same line again, I think they're going to be maybe jumping ahead of Robbie Kelly again, maybe even challenging Athena for P3. We're going to have to watch them closely again. We also saw another Kiando at 40.2, getting them up into the 6th position on the grid here. Coming up again for another run into turn 1 with only a couple of minutes, about 5 minutes left to go here. With also seeing Kiando just going off the track limits here. That's going to be an invalid lap time, but with only about 5 minutes left to go here, considering having to do a preparation lap, there's not going to be that many laps left. I think it's going to be max 2 or 3 that our cars are going to be able to do at this point.
Yeah, with 140 minute average, 143, 142, 143 lap time, your outlap's going to be slightly slower, usually 145. That's going to be about, yeah, as you can say, 2 flying laps if you can time it right. If not, you only get 1 lap, and that's going to be the last lap for qualifying this round.
And I watch very close. We're still watching on the onboard of Giando here. We're having some connection issues here, phasing in and out of reality here, but that's not going to be a concern for anybody here. They're going to be going down into that tight Dunlop corner, just trying to balance that Lamborghini nice and smoothly around here. Yeah, there's going to be now 3 different Lamborghinis. We also see the car of Tombstone as well, another Lamborghini driver who has joined us here. Another connection issue for Giando here, again phasing out of reality and popping back into reality. That's also going to be something that we also have seen in racing, where some people with connection issues might just disappear and reappear in front of you, and that can actually just scare some people. It might just be another factor to consider if you see somebody that's having some connection issues ahead of you.
Yeah, it's going to be... Luckily, we do not have teammates here affected, but yeah, we all here pray for a good connection for all the drivers. At the end of the day, we cannot control these kind of things, but you know, racing is racing. Unfortunately, Some drivers will get very scared once the drivers in front disappear. We don't know what's going to happen. Maybe you get phased in to different drivers. Sometimes games will make sure that things won't happen that way. But it is racing. Hopefully, all drivers are able to survive. As you see here, Team Leclerc coming down into the final straight. We don't see any green sectors for them. Oh, it's an out lap it seems, but it's going to be interesting to see how they cross as we have 3 minutes remaining. That's going to be close to two laps remaining for the drivers here for qualifying.
Yeah, we're going to watch closely to see if there's going to be any more chances for Athena Leclerc to improve here with about 2.5 minutes left to go here. I think this is going to be, this lap and the next lap is going to be their final opportunities to gain improvements and get past the Klaus Diamond and Walkman. I don't think I've seen Walkman at all on the grid after they settled onto that 39.4. I think they just concluded, okay, I've settled my time, I've done what I need, and I'm just going to be parking in my grid and just waiting for everybody else to do their times.
These Walkman, I think Walkman's very comfortable where they are. I think they themselves know that this is the fastest time they've ever set in this session. So it's like, you know what? I might just call it. Save the energy. Make sure you don't get fatigued for the 1 hour that you're coming up. That might have a very strong fight in front. So get some water, relax your muscles, get some stretching going on, and get ready. As we see here, Athena Leclerc for running for the lap. Klaus, RK have a good show. It's gonna be interesting because even with this running lap, Athena Leclerc unable to improve given that they don't have much green sectors for the lap. So it's gonna be interesting to see where they end up.
I mean, there is a couple of cars ahead of them coming up, and they're just coming up on the main straight here, so they may be able to get a small toe on the main straight here. That would improve their time slightly, but I think it's going to be this lap and the next lap. It's going to be their final opportunity to get anything here. Going to watch closely. I think it's going to be very wide on the exit of turn 6, and that might have just invalidated their lap time here. But we see the car of Klaus Steinman right ahead of them, getting that. Actually, they're Klaus Steinman. They're getting that toe off the Porsche. I think that's going to be the Porsche of Freya there. So that's going to be maybe giving them an advantage to get a better run up into turn 1 here, but we're going to see not an improvement for Athena Leclerc. So it's going to be now down to this final lap here for them to have any chance of improving on their lap times at all here. You see Kitty Timberwalks just finishing their out lap as well. Robbie Kitty doing the same as well. And that's going to be actually probably an issue for Klaus Diamond because Freya is not letting by here. And Klaus is coming up much faster right behind them. So this might just cost them the ability to improve on their lap time at this point.
Yeah, they might have to invalidate their lap time just because, yes, they do, because they realize it's a bit too close, and unfortunately for them, they might have a toe on the back straight. Actually, they might have just wanted for the toe for the end of their lap previously, but they're definitely too close for another run for the qualifying, so they might just park it. But right now, as you see here, Athena Leclerc is the next one to be behind the Porsche in front, so might be a problem for them, might be not. That depends on how fast the Porsche in front can navigate through Sector 3. I think that's going to be a car in the way for them, but that's unfortunate for them. But the car in front is entitled space to finish the qualifying lap, so I think that is, as you can see here, Athena Leclerc getting in the way and giving up for the qualifying.
Yeah, unfortunate that this is going to be one of the realities of the car here, but there is going to be slower traffic ahead of you, and Freya is on their own valid lap here, so they have no obligation to let by on cars coming up faster behind them. And if they had done their timing a bit better, they may have been able to take advantage of the toe on the back straight here to give them improvements here. But sadly, that was not to be the case here. But we do see an improvement coming up from Robbie Kelly right on the 9 minutes of our session here, able to get a 39.795, just bouncing past Athena Leclerc to gain that third spot on the grid here. A very good final lap result here from the TCAM racing driver here. We only have a couple of cars left here on the grid here. It's going to be the car of the Ford Mustang of F-Spirit here. Coming up now on the Dunlop corner, swinging themselves down through turns 12, 13, and 14. So I hope they get a final improvement here. I think they had a green Sector 1 of improvement there. No improvement on Sector 2 here. We're going to be watching very closely to see if they can get that exit just right on the exit of turn 60 here. I think they had a bit of oversteer on turn 14 here, trying to get themselves set up here. But let's get to see them carrying as much speed as possible, get the exit just right here. I think they missed the apex of that inside corner here a little bit, so it's not going to be the most optimal exit here. Let's see now when they unleash the power of those big horses on the Ford Mustang here to see if they can get any more improvement here. Waiting for them. I think it's going to be the last car to cross the finish line here. Outside Piscetti, we can see in the background here. So waiting closely, waiting for that final finish line to run here. It's going to be an improvement, not an improvement. They're not going to be locking themselves into that P9 position, but now going to be watching Pescetti also coming crossing the finish line. Also not an improvement for them. So that's going to be the end of our qualifying session here. And as we have predicted at the start of a practice session here, it was going to be Walkman with a dominant 139.43 that got them the pole position. But it's going to be a very close fight right behind them with Klaus, Robbie Kelly, Athena Leclerc, Katie Timberfox, all within a couple of tenths of each other here. So it's going to be a very close fight, if not for the win, at least for the final 2 spots on the podium.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of action here, not just in front of the grid, the mid-pack as well. We're going to see RK being in front, Klaus in second, RK in third, as we continue the cars ready to be on grid. But this is here, very strong cars here. TGR being here in number 3 and number 5, with KD at number 5. Athena Claire splitting between the two of them at P4. Zezors, one we have not talked about this time around, silently in P6. Definitely interesting to see how they fight against Guendo in P7, Inigo Lopez, the first Blue E car in P8, followed by Aspirit in the Mustang at P9, P10, and Tom Bursko in the RNG car. First RNG car on the grid, followed by Fast Fox in the Simufur car in P11, Pasquetti, the next RNG car, in P12, Tombstone. It's good to see them here in P13, Recower in P14 after a long break. Hakio Itsumetsa, the last RNG car here, I believe, at P15. Snowy, coming from the Fuji Hours, going to be strong here at P16, P17. And Iride at Racing for Lead, Paul Racing at P17, P18 Freya, as we see here in the Porsche, P18, P19. The last car for Blue E, Wolfin Foxdale, P20, Zine in the Huracan, and rounding it off, hi Denak. Seems like you have great duties to go for.
Yeah, sorry, I was actually just about to line up on the car here and get to driving it, but I forgot I actually had to hop on the commentary box here, so sadly I left my car running on the pit lane here. So that's going to be showing up on our timing sheets here, but that's not going to be a concern for the race here. But with only a couple of minutes left to go before the start of the race here, do you think there's going to be a chance for Klaus, Robbie, Athena, or any of the other cars starting right behind Walkman to get the jump on this long main straight to get past Walkman?
I think it's about maybe having a little bit of luck on the start as the safety car goes in the pit, but it's a little bit unlikely. The straight is pretty long. You might get a very good tow, but if Walkman can time their test start right, they will be able to run away. But definitely, it's up to them. Klaus can have a very brave braking, but Walkman being on the inside for turn 1, as you see here, being on the right side, they're going to have a very big advantage in making sure they can close the door, making sure that Klaus does not have an overrun on them. And it's going to be interesting to see how this race starts to go as the pit car starts moving and we have the grid starting formation. It's going to be a very interesting finale for the Simufur GT3 series in iRacing.
It's going to be a very exciting finale for sure, with Walkman within grasp of getting that title for their debut season here in the iRacing Simufur GT3 season here. But there's going to be a lot of fighting happening behind them as well, with Klaus, with Robbie, with Athena, all of them fighting for those scraps of points left to get the second and third place trophies on our grid here. So there's going to be a lot of fighting happening at the top of the grid here, but also everybody down in the middle pack, at the back of the field as well. They're all going to be very much hoping to get a good show for this final season of our very exciting season, of our exciting GT3 season. And I think with the drivers who have been participating in the Fuji 8 hours of endurance race here, I think they're going to be having an advantage of knowing how the track goes and how to work their car around the track here. But it's still going to be anybody's game to see who can get good results here. Now we're watching them all just only is lining up very slowly side by side, not really doing a lot of that weaving to one of their tires here. Just waiting for that final launch to happen any second now. Well, safety car still waiting on the front here. Actually quite slow, yeah, there, but that's got to be safety car finally peeling in here now. Both, it's going to be now down to Walkman to control the pace here. See if we can get that just good jump here, waiting for the green light to go here. Waiting for the absolute last possible second to use that as well here, just taking the time. It's going to be now
green light,
it's going to be the debut for the finale of the race here. Of now, time to go here. We see the cars, the TGR cars are all getting very close here. We also see Walkman getting a really good launch, already getting a pretty considerable gap here. It's got to be now Klaus and Robbie Kelly going side by side down into the turn here, with also Athena and Katie also going side by side down to the turn here, with Robbie able to get the bit of launch here. We see everybody going nice and tidy around the track here. It's going to be Walkman with a good lead here. There's going to be Robbie Kelly able to get that good launch here and now chasing down Walkman. We also see the car of, I think it's going to be the car of Tombstone now fighting with Pescetti down towards turns 3 and before, with the Pescetti able to get that launch here. Now chasing down on Anton Berspo right ahead of him. So nice clean start of the race here so far, but that's going to be the exciting phase of second to here. But that's to be Klaus having a dive on the inside of Athena, almost brushing the Porsche's side bumper here, coming to grips here, but thankfully both of them got away nice and smooth here. Now it's going to be down to the final sector. You can see what's going to be happening again, and more fighting happening. Now it's going to be the cars of Doomstone and Rekover having a close into that acceleration zone, into the braking zone of Dunlop corner here, with Rekover having a pick up on the inside, diving on the brakes, just brave and deep, and it's going to be contact with Pescetti. It's going to be both of them coming out. It's going to be a traffic jam at the end of the track here. Oh no, that's going to be cutting out these 3, 4, 5 different cars in that one moment.
Yeah, that is unfortunate for Rekover. Definitely a little bit too ambitious, and that is the Blue E car. One of the Blue E cars already losing a bumper. That is going to be interesting to see how they deal with it. Do you have fast repair for this? But it's important. That's why we see to not be too greedy on the brakes, because what happens, you might want to be faster than the car in front, but you gotta remember, everyone in front is breaking 4 corners. You have to make sure that you're slower than them. There's no point fighting for that corner in lap 1, because you have an hour race, and now everyone's gonna be having issues, and it's gonna be interesting to see how the drivers react to these situations. We have, at the end of the day, some drivers might have to pit in for new bumpers. They still had to pit in for fuel earlier end of the race, so it's going to be unfortunate for them, 2 pit stops, but it is unfortunate for the Pescetti. Just slowing down for the corner, and unfortunately Rekover just collects them, unfortunately. And you see here a very big pile up. Lucky for all the drivers though, there's only a few drivers collected, but that definitely has slowed their time in this race. As we see here, Spirit getting hounded by Fast Fox in the race here. The Mustang, the McLaren. Mustang's definitely not the favorable car here, given how unwieldy this car is through most of the corners. Faz already on the inside of Spirit. Here Spirit has to defend for it, but Faz already has the overrun and has taken the overtake. Spirit too lively on the back end, and that has definitely spun them around. And that corner is definitely interesting to see how they recover. Oh, there just then the Porsche almost had a problem recovering, as they see here. Oh, finally has time to recover for
And that was the absolute first part to be stuck on the track as well, right in the middle of the course here. So they had nowhere to go. They just had to wait for the entire grid to pass them by before they were able to get back on the track here. So unfortunate mistake from them caused them to lose position. But that's going to be the 2 RNG racing cars here coming together in their own fight here, with the cars of Anton Berspo and Haku Isamitsa now going up into the tricky final sector here through turns 13, 14, 15. Hopefully get a better run here. Anton Berspo usually has been the car with a better run time, yeah, but I think they got collected in that initial incident with Pescetti as well, so they may be carrying some damage, which gives Haku Isamitsa behind them an opportunity to get a better run here. They're going to watch that closely, going up now onto the exit of turn 60, unleashing the power of those 2 Mercedes V8 engines as well, but it seems like Haku is a bit too far away to make any of those moves stick here. And also at the front of the field here, it does seem like Walkman has been able to hold on that lead here so far, but Robbie Kelly is still less than half a second behind of that Corvette here, so it's not going to be smooth sailing for the Portuguese driver here so far, with Robbie Kelly right behind them, ready to capitalize on any mistake they might be doing.
Yeah, but if you notice on the gap as well, Arcane now, the 2 of them already almost have a gap away from Katie. That's why we say about the train. As much as you want to fight, you gotta make sure that you peel away. And if Arcade plays his cards right, they're gonna be in front with Walkman, and that might just leave Katie behind, and that's gonna be not fun for Katie, because there'll be the start of the train with Athena Claire behind them. So that's gonna be a fight for their own. But for Arcade and Walkman, they're just gonna walk away with this if they keep sure they keep in front of them.
But to keep an eye on them, we're also going to be seeing a fight developing between Athena Leclerc and Katie Timberfox, going up into the Dunlop corner, turn 60 here, getting tight on those brakes here, with Athena getting almost into the rear bumper of that McLaren. Also Klaus Steinman behind them, also getting up into this little fight as well here. It's going to be, again, we see those islands forming. I think it was that initial incident with Pescetti and Rekover that caused the grid to spread out a lot more than they normally would have at the start of the race here. But at least the front of the grid here is still staying nice and packed. They're getting going almost a little bit too wide, and almost getting to grips, coming into contact with the Porsche of Athena Leclerc right behind us. That's going to be compromised at the exit, compromised at the time. So I think now with this exit here, it's going to be Athena Leclerc with the advantage, getting that nice toe on the back bumper of Katie Timberfox here, hoping to get that move done here. With nobody ahead of it, with Robbie Kelly being way too far back to give any advantage for Katie, there could be a chance for Athena to finally make the ascent into turn 1.
Yeah, gotta remember, I saw the Porsche are strong on the brakes, but will they be able to close enough? They don't seem to be so they might have a high downforce setup here, so they might have to think about how they're gonna have an exit on turn 16 to get the run. But as you hear, the gap closes every time they're on the braking zone. They have to figure out the strategy, make sure that they are able to stay as close as possible in the straights. At the same time, utilize the very strong braking of the Porsche as we come down into turn 3, as you can see here, they might close in a little bit more as they come into turn 4. The Porsche, very agile with short wheelbase here, so it's going to be important to see how Athena Leclerc strategizes their entire strategy around making sure that they can get past Katie. But as you see here, gap inching closer and far and closer and far. They definitely have to make sure that they don't get in the way, or else Klaus will be right there to strike at a moment's notice.
Yeah, we can see Athena just getting closer on all of these braking zones here, but almost to contact with the McLaren's rear bumper here, but just having to back up a little bit so they don't end up causing another incident and having more contact here. And it seems to be a very frustrating situation for Athena, because they seem to be faster in these corners, in these braking zones here, but as soon as they get on that straight, it seems like the McLaren just has just enough pull, low enough of a downforce setup for them to stay on that lead here, with Athena not able to get as much of a run up here. We're going to be watching them very closely on these final couple corners here, because it's going to be just one mistake, a little bit of an overstay moment here, compromising the exit and giving Athena the opportunity to get that slipstream, get that toe on the main straight here to get past these cars here. Everybody watching closely now, swinging around on that final corner here with a very good early exit of Athena's car. And now, again, only 0.3 of a second away from Katie Timberbox ahead of them. But we also see Robbie Kenny losing a bit of time to Walkman as well. Now, both of them separated by about a second here. So we can already see clearly from this offer that despite Athena Leclerc getting that better exit off turn 1 here, turn 16 here, it just seems to be either the McLaren's power or their downforce that just enables them to pull away. So there's not going to be a chance for Athena to make a move.
Yeah, the McLaren is definitely very strong in power here at Fuji. The BOP has allowed for the McLaren to be pretty strong on the top end, and unfortunately for the Porsche, being a Porsche, they usually are pretty down in power, but what they lack in power means that they are pretty strong in the corners. Unfortunately for Fuji though, really hard to overtake on the in the corners unless you're really bold on the brakes. So it's going to be interesting to see how Athena Leclerc thinks about this. Maybe they just want to stay behind Katie for the entire race, maybe benefit from saving fuel. Maybe do it on the pit stops, like I said. We might see them just maybe basically strategize for the pit exit, as you see Katie here running a little bit wide. They still within track limits. That is a very thing to be called out for at turn 7. If you run a little bit wide here, the curb's gonna send you out there, and you gotta make sure that you don't go too wide, else you might have an incident here. Telling them in turn 10, the two of them, as you can see here, strategy. Cars might need to think about strategy here, or they might just worry about the fight in front of them. They might get caught out in the pits if they don't think about it.
Yeah, also, I'm not quite sure when that actually happened, but we also have the car of Taichi Yagami also on the grid as well. I don't think we saw them at all during the qualifying or the practice session here. Now they're going to be on the back of the grid here. But I think they may have had a pit lane start here. Some technical difficulties that caused them to have a late start here. But they're actually in the race here. We're going to be watching back on the onboard of Athena Leclerc and Katie, with Athena again getting almost to the rear bumper of that McLaren here. I think they got a better launch this time, and they are trying to get closer. I think. Again, though, that toe is not working. You can see the time just going wider and wider and wider as they go down that straight here. You'll see Walkman getting another purple lap here at 140.1 in raceful conditions as well. So it's going to be Walkman walking away with it so far, with Robbie Kitty now falling outside a second into the turn 1 braking zone here. So it's not going to be a chance for Robbie Kitty to challenge Walkman's position here. But we see this little train happening here between Katie and Klaus and Athena Leclerc here fighting for the final P3 spot on the grid here. And we also see the cars of Vestfox and Nico Lopez now also coming together here, with the Vestfox having a bit of a peek up on the inside of, I think it's going to be turn 3. Yeah, turn 3.
Yes.
Yeah, down to turn 3 now towards turn 4. On our 100R corner here. Yeah, getting really close to that Corvette here. Vestfox, it's eager to find a place. That's going to be a nice send on the inside into turn 6, but it's going to be an over-under with now Nico Lopez now with the inside going up into turn 7, turn 8, so that could be a chance for Nico Lopez to still defend on that position, but it seems like they have conceded that so far, unless they're going to be getting that good launch up into turn 10, that dumb block corner here, but it seems like Nico Lopez is thinking better of it and backing out of that fight.
Yeah, the McLaren definitely stronger here in these kind of race conditions. Definitely a very long wheelbase car, very stable around corners, but at the same time agile because of the mid-rear engine configuration. Definitely a car that people have enjoyed since the update, so we'll have to see very strongly how these cars in the McLaren will fight. KD here though, definitely want to make sure they stay in front and make sure that they kind of slowly catch up to RK. The gap between them when they lose toe is going to be very, it's not good for them, because they are losing top end speed. If they are able to just get a little bit closer just to be in RK, they might leave Athena Leclerc in the dust, because the toe for the McLaren will be so much stronger than the toe that the Porsche gets from the McLaren in front of them. So they might have to think about braking a little bit later, pushing a little bit just harder, just to eke out the very last few thousandths, just to make sure they stay within the toe for RK, or else they might have a very strong fight with Klaus as well as Athena Leclerc behind them.
There's also a big toe fight happening between the cars of Nico Lopez and Vesvox in the background as well here, but it seems like Nico Lopez was not able to get that move to center here. Now it's going to be Klaus getting up even closer to the rear bumper of Athena Leclerc here. Klaus has now entered this top 3 fight here with their blue-colored Lamborghini Huracan here, trying to get past the Porsche 992 car ahead of him. And with the Lamborghini probably having a part of a lower downforce setup compared to the Porsche. If Katie Fox can pull ahead, break the toe from Athena Leclerc, I think they're going to be in big trouble for Klaus right behind them to get that position. We claim to get back up into P4.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Klaus deals with all this. Oh, see, he's strong on the brakes. The Lamborghini is definitely getting held back by the grid in front, but they can't do anything about it because the overtaking positions here in Fuji is on the straights. And if you don't account for that, it's going to be a problem for them. And I think for them, given that they have lost 3 positions since the start of the race, they definitely want to think about, making sure they're able to make the move done. But for now, staying behind the 2 of them, as we see here, Spirit trying to make an overtake on Zim. Will that be possible for the turn 10? If not, they will have a good run down into the start-finish straight. That is a possible move. No, Spirit does not wait for it. Touching bumpers with Zim, but both are alive for turn 10. And now Spirit might have a good run for turn 13. They might not think about the back straight. They're a bit of a bold move for them, taking it into turn 13 and turn 14, but still possible side-by-side coming to turn 14. Zim does not concede for the position. The Mustang, though, might have an overrun for here, coming down side-by-side. Still side-by-side, door touching into turn 16. They might not be happy with the door touch, but that is power racing. Turn 16, Zim will have an overrun, but will the Mustang be able to run away for the back straight? I think that will be a thing to see, but the Mustang has overtaken Zim for position 16.
Yeah, F-Spirit had one of those incidents with Vesvox earlier, which caused them to slip down into the back of the field here. Now they're currently in a recovery drive, now able to get past the Zine Frostbot to get up into P16. Now it's going to be a chase down for Pan Hardy, currently sitting in P15, about 6 seconds behind from F-Spirit here. So it's going to be, no chance for Zim to get a move done on F-Spirit to reclaim their position into turn 1. So now it's going to be now down to F-Spirit to get down, keep their head down, and start getting those lap times faster and faster. And looking at the lap time so far, in the qualifying, one of the fastest lap times that FCB was able to get was a 41.1, and the fastest lap time from Pan Hardy ahead of it is only a 42.4. So with probably within a couple laps here, FCB is probably going to be catching up into Pan Hardy and getting the overtake done on them. But I'm going to be coming back into this fight here between KD, Timber Fox, and Athena Leclerc. Klaus seems to be falling a bit behind on this top 3 fight here so far. It's not going to be down to just KD Fox, but it's actually now Robbie Kelly also falling back from Walkman ahead of them, to now give Katie the opportunity to get a toe on this main straight as well. So that's going to be even worse for Athena Leclerc to try get past the McLaren ahead of them with probably going to be solely something black from Walkman, and it's going to be probably now a 3-way, probably even a 4-way fight to get P2 here.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the gap turns out. But I can see here already Katie gaining from the toe, coming down 8 tenths, from 8 tenths down to 7 tenths, coming down the back straight alone. That really shows how important the toe is. And Athena Leclerc from 3 tenths has already backed down to 5 tenths. So it's gonna be interesting to see how the cars bunch up and expand over the course of the track. But as you can see here, as we said over and over again, toe is very important. Make sure you stay inside the train. If you have broken off on the train, it's important to just find one, regardless of if ahead of you or behind of you, and just reap the benefits of the higher top speed. That will definitely be beneficial in terms of race strategy. As you see here, Guyando at the back of Zizors. Both drivers not really been the tension this time around for the finale, but as you hear, close fight for the 2 of them. That will definitely have to be to see how these cars behave. The BMW not the favorite model of car this time around in Fuji, but if you have the setup right, maybe enough grunt from the BMW will get you ahead. But for now, through the corners, definitely not the right move. I see here Anton having a move on Tombstone, does not stick, but Tombstone has a back on turn 10. It's going to be interesting to see how Anton reacts to that. Maybe down into sector 3, maybe by that time for the final corner. I think we have to see here, maybe Anton does not have a run. Definitely has to think about the last corner and back straight.
Anton is definitely thinking about just getting as close as possible to that Lamborghini ahead of them by the time they get to that main straight here. With only a couple of corners left to go here, Anton is in a very good position to claim that P10 position here on this main straight, because there's going to be nobody ahead of them to give a toll for Tombstone. Now going to be almost only 3 tenths separating these 2 cars here. That's going to be just Tombstone clawing that difference slowly and steadily on this I think it's over a kilometer long straight here. just trying to get past the car. It's going to be down to 10. That's going to be Burstable. Hopefully now getting out of the slipstream here. Getting up side by side. Now going into turn 1 here. Who's going to be braking later? Who's going to be the one to blink first and go down into the turn 1? It's going to be Burstable braking late. Diving in. It's going to be too late. They're going to be washing out wide. It's going to be another opportunity for Doomstone to get up into the position again. This is going to be one of those dangerous things to consider. If you have that toe, you're going to have to brake early as well, because you're going considerably faster. Your normal braking bar will no longer work, which cost Burstable that position right there.
Yeah, it's gonna be definitely a little, maybe getting caught off guard from how much top speed you get from the toe. We do see basically about 5 kilometers per hour on average advantage on the toe if you have enough downforce differences. But with that, you have to brake a little bit early, and some drivers kind of forget you have to brake a little bit early. And with you basically braking off the line, you don't get much grip for that. And unfortunately for them, that's gonna be interesting as you see here coming down in cockpit view. And Anton Burstable. That's going to be interesting to see where they brake. They might have braken a bit too much, maybe at 100 meter board. That's going to be interesting to see here. 100 meter board, yeah, on the 100 meter board, that's going to be too late for them and such. You know, stays on track. Good, it's a good skill to have, but definitely lost the position, and he's going to have to try again on Tombstone.
Well, with how fast Tombstone, well, with how fast Burstable has been going here, I think it's not going to be too much of an issue for them to catch up back up onto the rear bumper of Tombstone here. We're now going to be watching back onto this fight here between Katie Timfox, Athena Leclerc, and Klaus Schreiber now going to catch up into the pack here as well. We also see, I think it's going to be the car of Taichi as well. Klaus out of the way here, letting these leading cars here go by. It seems like Klaus has been able to catch up into the back again here, with again, I think they're getting really close to the rear bumper of that McLaren going down into turn 1. But again, it's not going to be enough for them to get a send made here. We also see Katie Timfox slowly crawling up the difference between themselves and Robbie Kelly of the Ferrari 296 car, the fellow Denak car ahead of them, and hoping to maybe get a toe on them, with now Robbie Kelly not having anybody else to get a toe of, with Walkman sitting a comfortable 3 seconds ahead of them. It's going to be down to these two cars to see if they can get close enough to get past the Ferrari 296 ahead of them and get into P2. With see now how close that Porsche is getting through these corners here, down to turn 7, 8, and 9 out towards the Dunlop corner of turn 10 here. Again, with the immense top speed of that McLaren here, Athena has no chance to make a cent in these braking zones here, get a move made here. So it's going to be a very frustrating situation for the Porsche 911 try here. What's cutting out deep on that Dunlop corner here, trying to get as close as possible to the McLaren here. But again, no chance for them to get past, and it's probably going to be a story, probably going to be down to a pit stop strategy to see who's going to be getting the better pit stop to get ahead in this race.
Yeah, definitely that will be the strategy. Oh, so close for Athena Leclerc here. So it's gonna be interesting. Maybe if they remember to fuel save, given that there's such a car in front of them to fight for, they might not be able to fuel save as well, because as much as they want to fuel save, given how fast the McLaren is pulling away on the straights, they cannot just give up on any sort of lap time. If not, they might just lose the toe. So it's important for them to maybe strategize, just lifting just enough. If not, it's going to be unfortunate for them. And Klaus behind, definitely, I feel like on the fuel saving strategy, will work on just saving fuel, staying behind, and just extend their fuel run, have basically no pit stops, and it will be interesting to see how short pit stops to see how it goes. But you see here, Walkman and RK. Not sure what has Walkman done last time, but RK now back on the bumper of Walkman. It's going to be interesting to see what has happened between the two of them. But now the fight is now back on tables for the podium position.
There must have been some mistake coming up from Walkman, because their last lap time was a 42.9 compared to RK's 40.6. So I think it may have been some mistake that cost them several seconds of lap time here, or maybe a tracker then they were supposed to slow down, because now it's going to be the fight again reignited between Walkman and Robbie Kelly here. Now Robbie Kelly trying to get as close as possible to the rear bumper of that Corvette going up into turn 10 of Dunlop corner here. It's not going to be close enough to get a move here, but ooh, RK really deep on that inside curb here, bouncing the car, probably unsettling the car a little bit and losing them that time. We also see the car of the Porsche of Athena Leclerc now coming on the inside into turn 30, having a bit of a peak here, but it's not going to be enough then to get the move stick here. But Katie's now feeling the pressure for sure. Getting Athena having another send up into the inside of turn 50 here. Again, very close, but no cigar for them so far, with Katie holding on for dear life onto that P3 position, helping to back up, punch up the field here, giving RK more space to catch up to Walkman ahead of him. And again, the positions stay as is, going up on this main straight again here, but Katie's definitely under pressure now, trying to hold off that advance for the Porsche and Lamborghini behind them.
Yeah, because of that lunge itself, though, KD now away from Robbie Kelly in front. That even though it's not the strategy that Athena Claire was looking for, has definitely benefit for them because now KD does not have the toe, and thus the Porsche will have a better run. As you see here, bumper to bumper, the two of them. That is going to be a strategy that Leclerc has found that maybe will be good for them. That they basically, you know, make a move to make sure that they do not be in the 12 arcade. That's going to be beneficial for them. And if they can able to do that, they might be able to just get the position away from KD.
Yeah, we can see again, I think that they're almost brushing and causing an incident with Katie Timberfox ahead of them to get past the car here. And with all of this fighting happening here, it's going to be another opportunity for Klaus to also catch up into this fight. And it's going to be, again, another three-way fight for P3 here and a two-way fight here for P1 happening ahead of them. And now we're going to be watching from the onboard of Klaus Steinman to see how close they can get into this back straight here towards turns 8, 9, 10, towards that Dunlop corner here. With Klaus Steinman posting quite a bit here into this turn here to keep that gap maintained between themselves and Athena. It seems like Klaus is just biding their time, waiting for something to happen for these two cars ahead of them, because they're just waiting for them to for some mistake to happen so they can capitalize on that opportunity. Because they don't seem to be in much hurry to really aggressively try to overtake like Athena was doing here.
Yeah, Klaus is definitely on the fuel saving strategy. They are one of the Porsche drivers in the Simufur team this time around in Fuji 8 hours, and they have shown time and time again during their stints in the race, because I was in the split with them. 42 laps, fuel laps for them. They are definitely the king of fuel saving here. So definitely going to be interesting to see what their strategy entails. And I think they are just very comfortable staying there, fuel saving, knowing very well that they are able to just basically get no fuel on the pit stop. And it's going to be a very easy pit stop for them for their race.
It's going to be exciting. We're also seeing a fight happening between Pan Hardy and Recoware down for position 14. And there's also going to be the car of Freya as well. Recoware trying to catch up to the rear bumper of that Porsche as well. And it's going to be an interesting fight between the Mercedes and the BMW M4 here. They're going to be the new entrants of our series here. Now both of them fighting for their position here up on the grid here. I don't think it's going to be enough for Pan to get up for an overtake on this main straight here. I don't think Recoware is going to be able to get a toe on Freya, but Pan is getting closer ever so slightly, about probably a tenth or so before they get into the braking zone of turn 1 here. And it's going to be we're going to be something we'll be watching closely, but there's also a fight developing between, not quite a sent enough into turn 1, but there's also a fight again developing between now Klaus and Athena, because Klaus has been able to catch up into the rear bumper of Athena here, trying to get a bit closer again towards turn 1 here, deep cut onto the Dunlop corner here, hoping to claw a little bit closer here. And not much happening here so far, but we also see at the backward you can see Giando also getting up into Z-Source's rear bumper here, going through these corners here. But we're going to be keeping our attention on this top 3 fight here for the P3 position here. Again, Katie a bit wide on the exit of turn 15 towards turn 60 here. Again, not quite able to capitalize on that opportunity to make a set happen here. But again, the position are staying as is, and I think with how much we saw Klaus coasting on here, I think Athena and Katie are not doing the same thing. They're just pushing all out, trying to just keep the lead for as long as possible here. So it's going to be an advantage for Klaus to probably get an undercut once they get into the pit stops.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the pit stop works as well. Given how long the pit lane is, you might think about maybe not being the first one to pit. That's going to send you into traffic. If you're a front runner, you don't want to get the blue flags waved around you. Not for you, but the fact that you have a lot of drivers around you. But as a fast car as well, as the car behind the grid as well, you don't want to pit too early because you get bunched up with the cars in front. And it's going to be a problem for you because you have to let people by, you have to think about not to crash out, you're going to lose so much time. So it's going to be basically a game of chicken here, especially here at the very long stretch of Fuji, to make sure that you kind of time it just right as the car starts to grid around here. But that's going to be a thing to think about currently for now. But we are 25 minutes into the race. It's going to start to show when people can pit in for their pit stops. But for now, just continue looking at fights as we see here Recoware now already at the back of Freya, coming down a little bit, running a little bit wide, but Pan as well already at the back of them. So it's going to be a very strong two-way fight for P13.
Yeah, we're seeing Recoware going a little bit wide on the exit of turn 3 here, giving Pan Hardy an opportunity to close the gap a little bit onto the rear bumper here. Not going to be going through that long sweeping right-hander of turn 4, turn 5 to 100R now towards turn 6 is here. It's going to be a dive from Pan Hardy coming up on the inside of Recoware, avoiding contact just barely. Recoware managing to stay ahead barely, but Van Hardy is definitely on a charge right now, trying to get past the Mercedes-Benz ahead of them, and just hoping to get as close as possible here. Rickover is definitely feeling the pressure right now, trying to get past both Freya, and also holding off the advance from Van Hardy right behind them. Now going up, Freya got a very deep descent into turn 10 here, with Van Hardy almost hitting the rear bumper of the Mercedes Rickover again. Now going to be Freya going up wide on the exit of turn 30, giving another opportunity for Rickover to close the distance. But with how technical this last sector here, there's not going to be a chance for Rickover to get extended here. So it's not going to be down to Rickover trying to get as close as possible to that Porsche and unleash the power of that Mercedes V8 on the main here, with Van Hardy also hoping to do the same here. Again, Rickover hoping to get that good exit up into turn 1. Van Hardy again almost brushing the rear bumper of the Mercedes right behind them. There's going to be both a bit of a wiggle happening from Van Hardy here, but now it's going to be only a half a second separating them and Freya and Rickover from each other. So it's going to be down to see if that Mercedes can get close enough on this main straight here. We can see the gap closing very, very slightly, but I don't think it's going to be enough for Rickover to have a send made here. But Freya is going to be now having to get their elbows out, defend their position, and hold off that advance from the French Mercedes car behind them.
Yeah, the scoreboard they had there definitely has affected their ability to fight for positions with Freya, but there is going to be a fight we will see here continue to develop, as we see here. Nico Lopez almost get caught up with a slide from Fez. That corner turn 15 has caught out so many drivers, not just from here as well as the Fuji, but we also see them caught out in Fuji hours as well, and that's unfortunately a position lost from Fez Fox, as Nico Lopez now in the position for P8.
Yeah, we also see a gap again forming a bit wider between Freya, because Rickover now has to defend from the BMW M4 of Van Hardy Lippar racing car behind them and hoping to get that position done here. So it's going to be working for Freya's advantage to see these two cars behind them just fighting for as long as possible, giving Freya the ability to just get away with it and just keep on driving ahead of them. Not going to be going down the top, down the corner again. Van Hardy with a deep send. I think they may have overestimated their speed on with the tow they got from Rickover, and again overshot that corner and almost causing an incident here, which cost them massive amounts of time. And now they're down to almost a second separating them and Rickover. So a sigh of relief for Rickover to have a bit of space to breathe here. But Van Hardy is definitely trying to get as close as possible. We saw a bit of a wiggle as well coming up from the BMW M4 on the exit of turn 14 as well. They're not going to be down into turn 16 to see if they can get that better run here. We're now going to be coming up to the fight between Zizos and Giando, because Zizos has now lost a bit of time. Now going to be Giando going on the descent down to turn 3 here, going on that right-hander of turn 100R. Hoping to get as close as possible here. There's not going to be much of an opportunity for them to make an overtake here, but Giando's going to be waiting for every possibility, every single moment to just wait for Zizos to make a mistake with that black BMW. And again, BMW is going wide on the exit of turn 7 here. Now it's going to be Giando hoping to get that toe now up on the bumper of the BMW here. Let's see if they can just get the braking point just right for turn 10's Dunlop corner here. Hoping to get as close as possible. It's going to be a deep send. Nice and tidy off the exit here. Able to get a little bit closer again here. It's only about 7, 8 tenths to bring these two cars here. We also see the cars of Fez Fox and even Nico Lopez behind them also getting up very close to the fight. With Fez Fox now eager to reclaim the position from the Blue E car of Suzuka Shark or Nico Lopez right behind them. They're going to be then hoping to get a bit of a better exit up into turn 14 towards turn 15 here. Get that exit just right with Suzuka rushing up a little bit wide. That might be just the advantage that Fez Fox needs to get up with a good exit into turn 16. There's going to be about half a second separating these two cars here, but I don't think it's going to be quite enough for them to make a single. We're going to watch them very closely. Fez Fox just inching themselves closer and closer and closer on the main straight here. Another tenth, 1 tenth, 2 tenths, and just see if they can get that set done here. I don't think it's going to be quite enough for them to make a move here, but Nico Lopez is going to have to put on that defensive move here. Let's see if Nico's still holding on their line so far. Gonna have to come back to them later, because that's going to be again Athena Leclerc catching up almost to the rear bumper of the McLaren header. It's going to be almost a move on the exit of turn 7 here. They had to actually back out a little bit from that move there, which caused them to lose time here. But it's going to be closing in again up onto the exit of. Oh, it's going to be a send into turn 6 here, but it's not going to be enough here. And it's going to be, again, keeping their distance, keeping their position. But this fight is going to be spicy almost the entire race, I think, at this point.
Yeah, well, it's interesting to see that Klaus has fallen behind. I'm not sure what has happened to Klaus. They definitely have to stay within the tow, or else they will lose the position there regardless of how much they feel safe. So definitely have to maybe put away the fuel saving a little bit just to catch up a little bit. But I got a feeling that when Athena Leclerc starts fighting with Katie, it's gonna be interesting to see how the time has dropped, and that will be allowing Klaus to just swiftly breeze by them when they need to be. But for now, a very close fight between the two of them. Leclerc needs to definitely sort themselves in terms of where to strongly send it, but KD still going strong in P3.
Looking at the lap time so far here, everybody from P1 all the way down to P6 are all running within the 1 minute 40s here. So I think if all of these cars would be more tightly packed together, there'll be a much better chance for them all to just be fighting positions here. But with Klaus losing that toe from Athena ahead of him, it's going to be down to just KD and Athena now on this P2 fight here with Zezors and Giano behind them, trying to just do their best to get out. Actually, going to be now see Giano being the first of the cars to go into the pit and get their car fueled with about at the halfway point of the race here. Probably not going to be in first start, probably just a splash and dash of some fuel here, depending on what their strategy is going to be. And that's going to be, again, a fight development between also Vesbox and Nico Lopez. Vesbox getting almost to the rear bumper of the Louis car ahead of them. And now with about half of the race left to go here, it's not going to be time for the pit stop strategy coming to mind to see who's been doing the best fuel saving so far.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see here. Gyuando in the pits, the first to be in the pits. Around time at 30 minutes. Some drivers might think that's not a good idea because fuel refills are not they're not fixed. What happens is that you might actually benefit more by carrying more fuel and just having a splash and dash at the very end, because you want to minimize that pit time as much as possible and being required early in the pits right at the 30-minute mark. This might not be beneficial for them because that means they have a longer stop on the fuel, and that might compromise their positions at the back. So you might see drivers start to pit in right at the last few liters and the tank remaining. But for now, the first to be in the pits, as we see Zim here as well in the pits, I stand corrected. There are a few drivers here that only took half race distance fuel tank, but it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the grid goes. As you see bump drafting from Aspir as well as Pixetti, both working alongside to make sure that they can catch up to the rest of the grid. I think both will benefit from this, and I think Aspir will be really glad to have a driver to be fighting to try to claw back the time they have lost along the grid.
Yes, it was both Pescetti and F-Spirit who suffered from early race incidents here that caused them to slip down many positions here. Both of them now on a recovery drive, so they're going to be working together. But who is not going to be working together? It's going to be the cars of Inigo Lopez and Vesbox. Again, almost coming together on the main straight here. They're going to be Vesbox having a peek up on the inside of the turn one here. We're going to send on deep on the brakes here, getting up alongside of Inigo Lopez's car here, with Inigo Lopez trying to hang up on the outside here, but it's not going to be quite enough. If Vesbox is able to get that send done here on the turn one and finally get the move done here. Now it's going to be down to Vesbox now have to defend the advance from Inigo Lopez now going to be on the exit of turn 3 here, hoping to get that better launch here. It seems like Vesbox is able to hold onto that lead here so far, and it's going to be now again reclaiming their lead and now hoping to pull away from Inigo Lopez.
Amazing move by Fez there. Just knew how fast the car was going to do and how confident and they are on the brakes, and definitely the move of the night. And for now, KD too strong on the pressure on by Athena and Leclerc, but RK has fallen close in front of them. What has happened with RK now 6/10 in front of them? KD now back on the toe. That is going to be a problem for Leclerc, given that with that toe, the McLaren is going to run away. That is basically an opportunity lost for them. Not sure, because of how hard they have been pushing. They have definitely not been fuel saving, and Leclerc knows this. Now on the inside for turn 16, they do not want KD to be as fast and get runs away with RK, and that has basically stopped KD having a good run. That's basically gonna be a opportunity for Leclerc to just basically tell KD, you're not going anywhere, you're staying here with me, and we're gonna have another move on the next few laps just because KD cannot be on the toe with RK anymore.
Even without having a toe here, KD's McLaren is just so much faster on the straight than Athena Leclerc's Porsche that KD can still get ahead and get away from that fight with Athena making a very bold send into turn 16 here, forcing an uncompromised worst line on KD in box. But despite that fact, KD was able to stay in the lead here. So I think Athena probably has to consider getting a pit stop at this point, because they're just costing so much time trying to get past KD's McLaren ahead of them. So I think the wiser choice might be to just pull into the pits here, get your pit stop done, get your fresh tires, get your fresh fuel, and hopefully get be driving in clean air to then get past KD in the pit stop cycle.
Yeah, that is definitely a strategy, but unfortunately that ship has sailed. I think with how they basically kind of doomed themselves fighting for positions, because I think Leclerc was trying to gun for P2, and unfortunately for them, with their ability, with their fight with KD, they're basically right now in a strategy dilemma. They can't. Oh, as we see here, send from. Oh, it's unfortunately contact from the Corvette, and the very precarious spot as well as they try to recover from it. Both the Corvette as well as the McLaren, for the two of them now side by side, somehow still side by side, but Inigo Lopez now in front of them. Unfortunately for Fez, both of them have lost time, and Zim just right behind them trying to get past. Now see, what has happened there?
What exactly had happened here? I think it's going to be on the exit of turn 6 here. Nico Lopez got a better run up into turn 6 here. Trying to make a big dive here, but it seems like I think there was not really much space here on the inside. It seems like Fez cut the corner a little bit too deep, hit the Corvette behind them, and that caused them to come together here. Kind of a weird situation. I think we need to see that from another angle to know exactly what exactly had happened. But with Fesfox and Nico Lopez now losing several positions in that fight here, it's going to be again another recovery drive for them. Now we're going to be watching again another angle from them. We're going to be watching now from the onboard of Fesfox here, but into turn 6 and 7 here. And again, with Fesfox making a pretty big dive here, and yeah, I think it's like. It seems like it was a very daring move from Inigo Lopez trying to get up into the inside of Fesfox here, but I think Fesfox was just too late to notice that car happening, notice that move happening. That's why they turned in too late into turn 6 here, and that caused the incident.
Yeah, unfortunately for them, maybe a little bit of damage, but not too big of a damage given that it's just door damage. But in the pits, get repaired, get sorted out, and get out. It's going to be interesting to see where they end up in the pit lane. But for now, Katie, Leclerc, both side by side coming into turn 16. Again, will that happen? No, they will not. I was going to say, wrong corner, that's turn 6. Will they make a dive on turn 10? Will that happen? They're trying to make a move for it. Will that happen? Klaus just staying behind. It's now side by side coming down to turn 10, turn 11, turn 12. But Katie's still in front. Leclerc, though, almost had a run, but unfortunately Katie's right there. They could not make the move done. Klaus is just benefiting from the two of them fighting. And I think that it's going to be with after the pit stops, Klaus is going to have a very safe P3 there on this race.
There's also RK being first of the top runners of the grid here, going into the pit stop and getting themselves some fresh fuel and probably some fresh tires as well here. So we're going to be watching them to see how their lap time is going to be. We also see also at end of existence here for a moment, which is going to be probably a moment of concern for Klaus, but unfortunately they're back in the race here, back connected, and we're now going to be seeing Klaus Diamond inching ever so slightly closer to the rear bumper of the Porsche of Athena Leclerc here. Let's see if they're going to be trying to make a sit here up into turn 1. Klaus is not still holding on their lines so far. I don't think they're going to be making anything unless it's going to be a very last minute daring move here. No, it's not going to be happening, but they're almost going to be coming bumper to bumper up into turn 1 here. Again, both these three drivers here still have not done their own pits up here. They're both just fighting for these scraps of positions here on the track here, with Walkman ahead of them. Now a whopping 6 seconds ahead of anybody else on the grid here, with RK also in the pits here. I think it's not going to be a very calm race for Walkman looking so far.
Yeah, to be fair, if you're looking at the last lap times, Walkman did a 140.16 last race, but Katie in front, 141.3, Leclerc 141.4, and Klaus doing a 141.2. Klaus is getting held up. They might actually think about just pitting in just to make sure that, you know, they're getting held up. Klaus definitely needs to pit for fuel. You might as well pit for fuel right now, get some clean air, maybe do some push laps, given that you're going to save so much fuel from it anyways, and just, you know, get P3 easily. But for now, Klaus is just sitting behind, biding their time. They know what they have, they know their strategy, and I don't think Klaus is too worked up about the positions right now. They're just thinking about what to do for when they cross the line.
I'm going to have to watch that very carefully here. And now it's going to be again another lap coming up with Athena Leclerc trying to get those dives sent into the technical sector in Sector 3 here. Again, no opportunity for them to get that sent back here. I'm going to be watching them. It's going to be almost around 22 minutes left of the race here, so I think these cars are going to be on their last couple of laps running here, and they're going to have to consider their pit stop soon here, but not all of them are choosing to stay out here so far, so no change in the moment. And I'm going to have a quick refresh on my points here so far with with both Athena Leclerc and Katie Timberwalks not having participated in all of the rounds here. It's basically only Klaus who's actually fighting for any of these points here. So they're not in any hurry to get past these two cars here. They're just on their own little cruiser race here. Again, a bit of a look here from Athena Leclerc into turn 1 here, hoping to get a sent into and past the McLaren of Katie Timberwalks head, but that's not going to be happening here. We also see Anton Burspo and Festbox going into their pit lane as well and get their cars fueled as well. We do have a fast repair in this race here, so despite the contact that Festbox and Nico Lopez had to do in the race here, with the fast repair, they can just get their car completely fast up and back on the race here.
Yes, glad that we have it here, given that how unforgiving iRacing's damage model is. I think it's pretty realistic, and it kind of reminds the drivers, do not be dumb with your moves here, because every action has their own consequences. But for us, who are just having fun here, it's definitely interesting to see here as Leclerc right now at the bumper of Katie. They always have been on the bumper of Katie having to turn 10, but they need to think about finding a way to send it on turn 11, turn 13, turn 14. If not, nothing will happen. Now, they actually have made a move, turn 13, but does not make a move. Will they make a turn 14, turn 15? That will not make a move. But will that make a run for turn 16? I think that's up to the drivers of Leclerc. Will they make a send? They will not, it seems, and unfortunately for them, that has slowed them both down. And for the back straight, Klaus is going to be right back at the bumper for the both of them.
Yeah, again, a bit of a bold move coming up from Leclerc into turn 13 here, but that wasn't quite enough for Katie to lose their position, holding their line and getting a cut back up into turn 4 again here, holding on their lead so far. And again, another lap, still none of these drivers are going to the pits here. So I think at this point they're just laser focused, tunnel vision to try to get past the car ahead of them. They're not even considering having an overtake or an undercut in the pit stop cycle. We also see the car of Taichi Yagami ahead of them, a lap car ahead, probably going to be backing out, and yeah, just pulling all the brakes here, letting all these cars by here. A nice polite move from the Tigam Racing driver here, letting these three drivers here get back up into their fight here. But again, I'm quite surprised that none of these drivers have considered having a pit stop at this point with how long they've been driving. They're all hemorrhaging time from each other here, just losing so much. So yeah, quite surprising.
Well, it might be also the fact that they know once they get into the pits, they're out of the tow. At the end of the day, the tow here is very important, and it's why they have amazing lap times here. It's a bit of a half and half. You do want to get past all of them, but you don't want to get caught out in the middle of nowhere, because once you're in no man's land, you're basically hemorrhaging half a tenth every single lap, and it's better to just hemorrhaging 2/10 a lap compared to having hemorrhaging half a second every single lap until the car in front that you're fighting for has pitted, or the fact that if you pit, especially for the case of Klaus, once you pit, you know you're going to be in front of them because of pit cycles alone. And you want to minimize that time being in front of the train as much as possible, because if that happens, you're gonna need extra fuel just to burn off, just to make sure that you stay in front.
Yeah, we now see a fight realigned between Tombstone and Anton Burspo. Again, now coming up together. Their previous incident now just all long gone here. Now we're going to be seeing Anton Burspo getting up close into the exit of turn 3 here, backing out a little bit to try to get another run up in through turns 4 and 5 towards 100 RE. Let's see if they can get close enough to make a send here. Now we also see all. So going to be Kita Timberfox and Athena Leclerc, both of them opting to go into the pits here, with Klaus Steinman opting to stay out here. So it's going to be interesting to see who can get the better pit stop here, who can pull up into their pit box faster and get this run up done here. We're going to be watching them very closely. But now it's going to be back to Anton and Tombstone here. Going to keep Anton Burspo having a peek up on the outside into the Dunlop corner here, hoping to get a bigger set here. Done up in the turns. It's going to be deep dive, but it's not going to be quite enough for them to make a set here. Tombstone holding up their lead here so far, and nothing to happen there so far. And it's going to be now then just, again, slotting up back-to-back for the second 3 here. You're going to be watching again closely between Katie Timberfox and Athena Leclerc. They're both going to be done with their pit stop soon here. It's going to be Katie Timberfox in the pit exit now. There's going to be Athena Leclerc still in the pits. It's in the box.
Yeah.
Quite a ways behind the box as well. So it seems like, despite all that fighting that Athena Leclerc tried to lose to juke Katie Timberfox, it's not going to be enough for them to get past them. It's not going to be. Actually, it's going to be quite surprising, because despite all of that fighting, it was Robbie Kenny who was the first to pit stop, actually losing all those positions and dropping down to P5 in actually quite a few seconds back here. So I'm not sure if it was down to that lack of tow here or something else that caused them to just lose so much time. With now Katie Timberfox being the driver to benefit the most out of this, now out of Athena's tow. So that's going to be that Katie just driving into the end pretty much at this point.
Yeah, that's why I say it's very important to strategize this. I think that's why you'll see some of the drivers that are not really familiar with how iRacing's strategy works, is that you want to minimize your pit entry, your pit time, by basically saving fuel. RK basically took half tank of fuel, basically had to refuel half a tank, and because of that, as well as coming down into a position where you don't have tow, you're basically losing half a tank every lap. You can see here the lap time last lap was a 1:41.2, a far start from the 140s I usually see from the drivers, and that basically itself has lost them seconds over the course of the whole lap. Not to mention the fact that you have to put extra fuel, and you can see here from the fact that Leclerc was basically pushing to overtake Katie the entire time. Maybe Katie had from better fuel saving that has caused them to have a longer pit time, and such. Katie has now come out at the best strategy, but I think we're gonna see here Klaus will have the best strategy out of them, outside of Walkman that has been fuel saving in front of them. If Klaus has played the cards right, they will be out the pit lane soon, and with that will be a position for Klaus. But for now, Klaus is out the pit lane, but will he make it? No, Katie is in front of Klaus. That is a strategy that we don't see. But I think Klaus will have a run on Leclerc right now, side by side, and they do. And with that fuel saving, Klaus has definitely overtaken Leclerc by a long margin as well.
Yeah, Katie Timberfox have been doing some mega fuel saving in that McLaren to be able to not only hold off the advance from Klaus and from Leclerc and keep up with RK, and yet still come up in P2 out of all that to have the best possible pit stop of all of it. I think looking at the pit time so far, they had the fastest pit stop of everybody with about a 12.48 second pit stop compared to Klaus's 13.0 and Athena Leclerc's 15-second pit stop here. So KD Timberbox really benefiting well from this pit stop, but Klaus also got a 1 position gain from that pit stop, getting a faster one than Athena Leclerc. So it's going to be probably a very bad time for Athena Leclerc unless they can get close enough to Klaus right now and get back up into that toe.
Yeah, and speaking of fastest lap time, Walkman for some miracle had a pit time of 11 seconds, 11.6 seconds. That has to be the fastest on the grid this time around, and with somehow that blistering time in front, still managed to feel safe and such, still managed to get a short pit time. That is definitely Walkman showing that they are capable of doing anything they could just to be staying in first.
Yes, we're also going to be watching a fight happening between Hakio Isometsu and F-Spirit now going up into the long right-hand corner now towards turn 6 here. See if F-Spirit's going to be able to get a dive up into the inside, forcing the RNG of Hakio Isometsu wide here. This is going to be an easy send for the furry-themed E621 themed F-Spirit Mustang car here. So it's going to be nothing happening up there. Actually, going to be something happening to Athena currently Klaus, because now going to be Athena going to be right into the bumper of Klaus Diamond into turn 1 here. Now going to be Athena on the outside. Klaus forced to take that defensive inside line here. Up into turn 1 here. It's going to be the Porsche's better brakes probably working to their advantage into turn 1. But no, it's going to be actually Athena Leclerc overshooting their brakes, going very wide into turn 1. It's going to be the losing their position. So I think without that toe they got from the car's end, I think it's going to be Klaus under fire, under trouble from Athena Leclerc, hoping to get back up into the P3 and maybe catch up to KD Timberbox again.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see how Klaus is losing positions because they do not tow the Lamborghini, not really the most favorable car here, but Klaus has shown that they are very capable of pushing hard. But unfortunately, with the fact that they are so far away from KD, that just leaves them open for Leclerc to fight. It's either they continue to fight with Leclerc, or they might think about working with Leclerc to get Leclerc in front, because they can tell Leclerc's not saving fuel at all. You might as well just use the tow and just catch up with KD. Maybe have a bump draft for the two of them, as we see Hakio Isometsu gaining that position back from F-Spirit. Will that stick? Will they run a little wide? But F-Spirit here side by side with Hakio Isometsu. Will that fight continue to turn 3 side by side here? That's a little bit bold for the two of them, but Hakio Isometsu concedes the position for F-Spirit as they both run wide, a little bit wide there. A little bit weird for strategy call, but Hakio Isometsu safe on the strategy, making sure that both of them finish the race.
Yeah, Hakio had a move up into turn 1 here, but again, they may have overestimated how much speed they were getting from getting that toe off Esper's Mustang here, which caused them to lose the position again in turn 1 here. It's going to be then having to just get getting close enough here. I think looking at their lap times so far, they have been having roughly equal lap times here, 41s and about those mid 41s here. So we're going to be watching closely to see if Hakio Isometsu can get close enough to the Mustang of F-Spirit again through these tricky sector 3 corners here, 14, 15, 16, to see if they can get another toe here up on the main straight. But speaking of toes here, we also see Athena Leclerc again getting really close onto the rear bumper, and also Burstmo getting really close to the rear bumper of Tombstone up on turn 1 here. I think that's going to be advantage for on the inside here. Going to be making a challenge into turn 1. Let's see if they can get that smarter now, making the break earlier this time. It's going to be going side by side, touching doors almost into turn 1 here. Now Tombstone forced to wash wide here, but still right up alongside the Mercedes of Burstmo here. Now coming up towards turn 3 here, hoping to get that better stand. Now it's going to be them on the inside here. Really that bit of run up here, but Burstmo's not giving up. They're still there. They're still right up on the rear bumper of that Lamborghini here. There's going to be a Burstmo coming up on the inside into turn 4, into 100. It's going to be contact. It's going to be them going too fast. It's going to be Tombstone spinning wide. It's going to be Burstmo losing that front bumper. It's going to be disaster for Tombstone with Burstmo overestimating the gap between them. It's going to be contact with them in the worst possible part of the track here. And unfortunate, it was an overtake, but probably not the way Burstmo would have wanted.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate for them. They definitely maybe not have, the spoiler may have not told them that Anton's on the inside, but luckily for Anton, they did not lose the front bumper. That might just be a visual glitch, but I think Anton just gave him back the position because they felt like that's not a good way to make the overtake run to see here. Replaying to see what has happened. On the inside, though, Anton, a very tight line, but I think unfortunately they just accidentally rushed wide. That is just unfortunate for them. So definitely feel sorry for them as you see here. Anton just slowing down to get back the position to Tombstone. Very, very good sportsmanship between the two of them. As you see here, Klaus defending from Leclerc for in the back straight. Unfortunate for the Lamborghini driver, but it's going to be a fight for them for P3 for the end of the race.
Yeah, Festbox was able to collect the pre-position from that incident between Burswa and Tombstone here. We're going to have to watch to see if they're going to be reawakening their fight with only about 11 minutes of the race to go here. We're also going to be seeing this fight again developing between Athena Leclerc and Klaus Steiermann here, with Athena having to do... actually, no, apologies. Klaus Steiermann having to do some defensive weaving on the straight here to break the toe from Athena Leclerc here, but it wasn't quite enough to get the move done for Athena Leclerc here. So it's going to be, again, another lap here. Only about 10 minutes left to go here on this race here. So it's going to be not that many more opportunities for Athena Leclerc to get back up into P3 again here, get past Klaus. And looking so far, it seems like the gap is widening going up towards the Dunlop corner into turn 10 here. So there's not going to be many more opportunities for Athena to get close enough and get that move to stick here, because we see ahead of them it's going to be Katie Fox just walking away from both of them. Despite not having a toe here, it seems like Katie's just going to be the fastest of these three drivers here and holding a very comfortable P2 lead here.
Yeah, and speaking of the fight, we don't have much time left. We are now crossing into the 50-minute mark. We only have about 9 minutes left into this race, so Leclerc has to think of something, and Klaus just has to give it their all, either through getting extra fuel to push for the very end of the race, or just making sure that they are able to make the car as wide as possible to get away from Leclerc. But as you see here, Leclerc, some mistakes here and there has caused them to basically go out the toe. Leclerc definitely has to push really hard to make sure he get back to the toe for the fight. If not, Klaus is just going to run away with P3 for this specific race. But the night is still young. There's still 9 minutes remaining in this race. Anything could happen.
It does look like Klaus Steiermann has been able to find some more pace. They were able to now get a 40.0. That's going to be the second fastest lap time of the night so far, only beaten by Walkman's 39.99 lap time here. It seems like Athena and Klaus have about the same kind of downforce setup here, because if Athena Leclerc got close enough into the rear bumper of Klaus on that main straight here, they were able to get that toe here. But now in these very technical sections here, it seems like Klaus's car has the advantage here, just slowly opening that gap here through 100R, going up into turn 6 and now towards turn 7 here, which is going to be seen if the Porsche's better brakes can help them. Again, it's going to be actually close to several tenths here in the exit of turn 6 towards turn 7 here, which helps again Athena Leclerc to get closer enough here. So it's going to be probably Athena hoping to close that gap here again, now getting it, using that toe now towards turns 7, 8, 9, towards turn 10 here. Probably not going to be a send here, but they're going to be hoping to hang around close enough onto the rear bumper of that blue-colored, cow-printed Lamborghini to get another send into turn 1.
Oh, a little bit of flight on the curb there. Some cars can take the curb at turn 11, some cars don't. And if you don't do it right, you might actually lose time here. Pasquetti fighting for with Zim for P17. A lot of position lost this time in this race around, but right now, oh, Zim, where has Zim gone? Zim is still there. Okay, thank God for Pasquetti, but for now, they have definitely has compromised the line. But with the strong power of the Mercedes, they don't have to fight too hard. They just need to make sure that they are staying as close as possible to Zim for the run for turn 1. So making sure to not have too much of a run, or else they might lose it. But for now, good run for them. Oh, Zim here having network issues, but with how close here, 5 tenths. But the gap is increasing already at the start of the turn of the back straight, so front straight. So it's going to be a very easy straight overtake on turn 1.
Yeah, there's not going to be much chance for Zim to defend this kind of move here, because Pasquetti's Mercedes is just getting closer and closer, and already, before they've even crossed the finish line, they're already ahead of them at this point here. So it's going to be just a controlled car breaking into turn 1 here, holding to that line here, and it's going to be a smooth pass for Zim, but they're going to be trying to have a bit of a move on the outside, but it's not going to be enough speed for them. Pasquetti now pass Zim up into P17. And now to hopefully catch up to now Freya. We're only a couple of seconds ahead of them. And looking at the lap time so far, Pasquetti was able to get a 40.9, whereas Freya only got a 41.9. So I think with a lap or 2 left to go here on this race here, it's going to be a chance for them to overtake. But somebody who has not been really fighting here, that's going to be Walkman. Now sitting at total of 12 seconds behind of Katie Timberfox sitting in P2s. There's not been anything that's going to be stressing Walkman. They got the perfect pit stop. They've been just controlling the pace here, dominating everybody around here. So there's not going to be nothing short of just a disconnection or getting an incident with one of the lap traffic cars here that would cost them to lose position. Now going to be going across the finish line. They're getting a bit of a tow from, I think it's going to be the car of Pat Hardy ahead of them. It helps them to get a bit of a better run here. Let's see if they can get a even better lap time here. After that, watching them cross the finish line just about now. No. It's going to be not an improvement, though. They're not a 39 lap time here so far, but it looks probably because of their tires have been wearing out a little bit, so they kind of have to pull back a little bit. But yeah, with only about probably like 3 or 4 laps left of the race here, there's just nothing stopping Walkman anymore from just walking away with the title.
Yeah, they definitely want to make it safe, you know, be patient with the lap cars. There's nothing That's not going to be in the way for them. So why risk why risk any sort of risk that they have? So it's going to be pretty easy driving for them. You know, a couple seconds, a couple tenths here and there won't affect their race. At this rate, with the strong car that they have with the Corvette, a very rare car to see here on the grid. We only see 3 cars here in this race, and we barely see them in the Fuji 8 hours as well. So definitely very strong running for Walkman, and it's gonna be a nice finish for them for the finale. And I think if they do win it, it's gonna be a season win for Walkman.
Yeah, we do also a little bit of a wiggle coming up from the Corvette on the exit of turn 10 here, but not much. Nothing to really concern them by here. That's going to be, yeah, looking at the lap times, they've been over half a second faster than KD Timberbox almost every single lap here, looking at these delta times here so far. So, not much happening here. We also see, I think we may have just seen an overtake happening between Freya. Actually, Freya now lost several positions here, so I'm not sure if that was a timing glitch or something else that caused them to lose all those positions. Maybe we'll see that in a replay, but we're going to be watching that now. Going to be watching that now with Freya coming up. I think that's going to be 100R coming up into the braking zone of turn 6 here. Watching them go deep into that braking. That's going to be a bit too much angle into the entry here, losing the car here and losing several positions here in that scuffle here. So an unfortunate mistake from Freya, but thankfully the car is okay, so they can still finish the race.
Being rejoined for them as well. So glad to see them all right. Unfortunately, pushing a little bit too wide there. We'll have things happen to them as we see here Walkman overtaking. I think that's Taichi at P20. So just slowly getting away. We're going to see interesting laps for them, as you can see here. KD was faster, but that's only because Walkman's navigating through traffic. And with that, I don't think Walkman's going to care what happens behind them. As we see here, 4 minutes remaining. Actually, less than 4 minutes remaining in this race. So very interesting to see. Whoop. There is an issue with the broadcasting for some reason, so we'll have to keep ourselves updated. We do have the live timing here, so we're going to keep you updated to give you a radio-to-radio commentary on what's happening here. But the gap here, still pretty strong here. We see KD gaps 12 seconds between the two of them. So interval-wise, everyone's actually on pretty much good pace between all of them. I'm going to keep you updated on what's happening. Maybe then it will also help you to make sure that we all have updates between the two of them. But for now, pretty strong run for sorry.
Yeah, we're still doing good here. We're having some technical difficulties here. Apologies for that, but looking so far, we still see Walkman in the lead here. There's nobody else here having a fight at the moment, so it's gonna be good for that. But with only about 2.5 minutes left to go here, we're gonna be still watching on the onboard of Walkman here, hoping to get them get some more cameras coming back here on this broadcast. Your apologies for all the technical difficulties, but yeah, looking so far, it's just our radios here. There's not really much else happening here, so I think with the final couple minutes left of the race, I think we can probably just talk about the season overall here. What's going to be coming up in the future for Simufur? We're going to be definitely doing some more iRacing series here, and I think there's been some discussions on what kind of series we have here, and I think we'll be very happy to hear any feedback on what kind of future series you would want to have for our racing. If it's going to be GT3s, more GT3s, GT4s, or even other sports car classes, or even oval stuff, or even dirt road stuff. So any of those opinions, we would be happy to hear those.
Yeah, there is, as Denak said, there is a survey. So if you are a driver in the league, definitely want to give that survey a completion. But speaking of other series as well, we do have multiple running series that we're coming up. So as we wait for the iRacing video to get back up, we will talk about what we have here coming down in the races. We have, of course, the new the EAWRC Rally Championship that you can join in. That's starting. That finished round 1, so round 2 starting in this week. So if you're interested in rallying, you can join us as well. As well as we have a one-off this week, if I'm not mistaken. The Friday Night Slide GT4 one-off is this Friday. So if you have a time zone that is compliant with what you want to race with us, you can definitely try give that a go. GT3 Season 6 for ACC is coming back as we slowly get back our cameras. Is going to start up soon. So if you're interested in that, the link to our Discord is in the description below. You can join us, have a hangout. If you're not into sim racing as well, you can hang out with all of us. We do talk things a little bit outside of sim racing as well. We have game discussions, we have flight sim, we do share our interests along with the community. So if you really want a safe space to be, your true self a furry like all of us, you can definitely give us a join in the Discord in the description below. For now, we're slowly getting things back up. We will get back our cameras, but the timing is still not there. We have we have basically 30 seconds remaining to this race, so we're slowly getting the things back together. But for now, the race is still pretty neutral. We still see Walkman in P1, KD in P2, Klaus in P3, Athena, Claire in P4, unable to answer unable to enter answer for Klaus in front. RK, unfortunately, with all the pit stops and their untimely strategies, now in P5, Gyando in P6, Z-Source in P7, Fez in P8, Anton Bursbo in P9, Tombstone in P10. So that's going to be rounding up your top 10. But for now, this is going to be time is run out. There is 1 hour has passed. We are waiting for the checkered flag right now, so we're slowly trying to see if there's any more squabbles at the end of the race. We're slowly getting back our cameras up, but for now, this is going to be your ending. It's going to be interesting to see how where Walkman is at this current time for their when they cross the line. But for now, we see Walkman actually. Whoa, we're back finally. Just in time as well.
For the final quarter of the final lap with the white flag waving here. I think it's going to be, it's going to be Wakana coming across the finish line. I think it's going to be right on the final minutes of the race. We finally have our feet here. Fortunately, you've not missed anything here, but it's going to be now Walkman crossing the finish line. First in the series, first in the championship. They are officially the champion of the debut Simufur iRacing GT3 Championship. Congratulations to Walkman for a very well-deserved drive here. We're going to be watching again behind them. It's going to be Kenny Timbox, a very strong drive, a very good redemption from their fight with Athena Leclerc and Klaus Steinman, getting a very solid P2 position here, followed right behind them by Klaus Steinman riding out our top 3 here. We see Klaus Steinman going sideways, hitting the bumper here, almost causing an incident on the track here with probably a bit too much wiggling on the straight here, but fortunately, they were able to get away from that cleanly. And now, I'm not quite sure what the points are going to be for Katie and Klaus. I'm going to have a quick refresh on our position here so far, if I can have a quick refresh.
Right, I'll continue on this right now.
Was able to finish ahead of Robbie Kelly in P5. That's going to be Klaus Simon securing themselves into P3 position on this fight here as well, with Giat also securing their P4 spot on the grid. And it's going to be Festi Fox and on the Burspo coming up across the finish line with P8 and P9. Tombstone now coming up across at P10. A nice fight with them and Burspo. Unfortunately, that was not quite able to be able to get after the incident. It's going to be now Nico Lopez coming up behind them, also riding out our grid here. We also see now going to be the cars of Freya and Recover, P18, P19. That's going to be Nico Lopez, P11, Haku Isametsa, P12 here, and it's going to be a couple more seconds. It's going to be a big impact from Tombstone on the exit of the turn 1 here, losing their car, but fortunately no damage for them to consider. So it's going to be now only F-Spirit, the final car of the grid here, quite appropriate for them to drive the furry car of our furry racing series here, now coming up on the main straight here. Last of our cars here to finish P13 of the grid here, finally putting an end to the final round of our Simufur iRacing GT3 Championship. But what a season it has been.
It has been amazing. You know, I sometimes as a commentator, I kind of feel bad that I can't be on the grid, but you know, being able to be here and see just how great Simufur is, just fighting. You don't have to be the fastest driver here to get races. You get the likes of the front, you get the likes of the mid pack, and so here rounding onto grid, Walkman.
Yeah. Pull who?
Yeah, there's going to be absolutely more to come here. So if you want to be knowing what we're going to be doing in the future, make sure to check out our Simufur Discord server, simufur.gg for that. And we also see, I think Walkman got a bit too excited on their celebratory donuts here, hit the wall there and lost their rear wing. But thankfully, no issues there so far. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to see a podium ceremony from our drivers here to congratulate them. But I think a very well done, very good all of our drivers here so far to get these nice results here. And yeah, despite the fact that it was probably a foregone conclusion for Plasma and Walkman to walk away with it, I think down behind them, it was a very tight fight for almost the entirety of the grid here. So definitely something we will see more in the future once we do some more iRacing series.
Yeah, definitely a breath of fresh air as well. We see new drivers here from Klaus, RK, Leclerc, Zizors, Gyando. So a very interesting grid that we have here, and you know, it'll be really fun to commentate any more races in the future.
Absolutely, indeed. We're having a bit of technical difficulties. We're not quite able to get the final points here coming up. But, yeah. yeah, we're just looking. Yeah, we're just still looking on the results here. We can't quite get the qualifying results to go away from the screen at the moment here, but now we can finally see the final results of our race here. Here we can confirm Walkman getting a very solid dominant lead here, 12 seconds ahead from KTM Box, getting a also good position here, starting in P3 with their pure new racing car here, and the team in third. P4, Robbie Kelly P5 running up our top 5 here with Giando, a very pretty quiet drive here, but very solidly deserved. P6 here, getting some nice 15 points here. Seasource P7, Bestbox P8, Anton Versco P9, Tombstone P10. They had a good fight between them, but unfortunately it was not quite meant to be. They were not able to get their fight reawakened again at the end of the race here. With now rounding out our grid here, it's going to be now Inigo Lopez P11, Haki Usametsa P12, F Spirit P13, Pan Harday, Peschetti, Team Frostma, Wolfing Box, the Reco. We're rounding out our finishers here for so far, with everyone else not completing enough distance on the race here to get points on the board here. So that's going to be finally bringing a conclusion to our race here. That's going to be, yeah, apologies. It was also going to be the cars of Freya and Taichi, because we didn't see them here on the grid here at the beginning. But yeah, one of our only retirees is Shinobi, and unfortunately I was not able to finish the race here because I got locked into the commentary booth. But I think the next season, whatever season that's going to be, I'm going to be there on the track, and maybe Newbie as well. So we're going to be hopefully seeing a new commentary team here provide us some more exciting stuff here. Now we're going to be finally coming into our championship standings here. We can finally confirm, notwithstanding championship standings here, but at least as far as we are aware, Walkman has been able to walk away with this championship title with the P1. This is also with drop rounds included, and there could be some drop rounds, some drop rounds or some positions penalties happening later on in the race here. But we're gonna have to keep you updated on those at the end of our race here in our Discord server and on our VSpec channel. So I think that's gonna be the end. What do you think?
Oh, it's definitely been a very interesting season so far out. Luckily, I was able to race in all of these one of the races here, but definitely nice to be in the commentary, seeing how the drivers sweat around here for an hour. With how competitive the grid is, anything can happen, and we definitely have seen that anything can happen in this races, and I'm glad to see we have a good race, and you know, more seasons to come in the future for Simufur.
Yes, indeed. But I think that's gonna be the end of our broadcast here for tonight, and that's gonna be so apologies, I've lost my train of thought here. But yeah, next week here, we're going to be having the next season in ACC. We're going to be coming back to Esera Corsa Competizione with our GT3 Season 6 Championship, so stay tuned for that. And after that, we're going to be getting back up into the green grind here, hoping to get some iRacing series to happen here. But you've got to keep your eyes on the Discord server for news on that. But for now, we're going to be saying a big thank you for everybody who was here in the commentary team, to Paliku'i for helping with the cameras in the background, and for KTM Box for Newbie to help us with the commentaries throughout all these very exciting seasons here. And yeah, I think with that being said, my name's Denak, joined by my lovely co-commentator Newbie, and Kali again in the background here, helping us with all of these lovely broadcast angles and graphics here. And for now, race control has ended, stream has ended, race has ended. Good night, everybody.
Bye.